The Velnari ship came out of faster-than-light speed at the edge of Earth's solar system. It was a beautiful vessel, silver and smooth, reflecting the distant light of the sun. Captain Zethron stood on the bridge looking at the screen that showed the blue and green planet the humans called home. His three eyes studied the world with interest and curiosity. Zethron had been a diplomat for many years. He had met dozens of alien species and helped them join the Galactic Assembly. Each time felt special, like welcoming a new friend into a large family. The humans would be the same, he thought. They were young, barely 200 years into space travel. They would need guidance and protection. The Assembly could give them both. Send a message on all channels, Zethron told his crew. Let them know we come in peace. The communication officer worked quickly. Within minutes, a response came back. A human woman appeared on the screen. She had dark hair tied back and wore a blue uniform. Her smile seemed genuine and warm. This is Commander Lisa Morrison from Earth's Diplomatic Corps. We welcome you to our solar system. We have waited a long time to meet others from the stars. Zethron felt his heart beat faster with excitement. The humans seemed friendly and eager. This would be an easy mission. Commander Morrison, I am Captain Zethron of the Velnari people. We represent the Galactic Assembly, a union of peaceful species. We would like to meet with you and discuss your future among the stars. We would be honored, Lisa said. Please come to our orbital station. We call it Unity 1. We can talk there. Over the next 3 days, the Velnari visited Unity 1. Lisa gave them a tour with her team. Daniel Hayes was there, a man with sharp eyes who asked good questions. Amy Peterson came too, a woman who studied different cultures and knew how to make everyone feel comfortable. They showed the aliens everything. There were art galleries that floated in zero gravity, with paintings and sculptures from all over Earth. There were farms growing food in special rooms, feeding hundreds of people who lived on the station. There were places where children played and learned, where families lived and worked together in space. We have come so far, Lisa said, as they walked past a large window. Below them, Earth turned slowly, blue oceans and white clouds covering the surface. But we know we still have much to learn. The Galactic Assembly sounds wonderful. It is what we have dreamed about. Zethron nodded, pleased with what he saw. The humans had nice technology for such a young species, but nothing threatening. Their ships were small, designed for exploration and science, not war. Their weapons were basic, meant for protecting against asteroids and space debris. They seemed perfect for membership in the Assembly. What Zethron did not know was that everything he saw was carefully planned. Every smile, every word, every part of the tour had been practiced many times. Hidden deep inside Unity 1 in a secure command center, Admiral Kyle Bennett watched everything on multiple screens. He was an older man with gray hair and hard eyes. He had seen many things in his long career, and he trusted very few people. They believe what we are showing them, said Lieutenant Nicole Warren. She was his intelligence officer, young but very smart. All their scans show exactly what we want. They see peaceful humans ready to join their club. Kyle nodded slowly. His face showed no emotion. Good, keep it that way. The Sentinel stays hidden until I give the order. Nicole glanced at him. Sir, do you really think they are a threat? I think anyone who comes to your home with a smile might also have a knife behind their back, Kyle said quietly. We will see what they really want. But we will be ready either way. On the station, the tour continued. Zethron and his team were impressed with human music, with their food, with their stories and art. Lisa and her team were perfect hosts. They answered every question, showed interest in Velnari culture, and talked about how much humans wanted to learn from older, wiser species. Your people seem very peaceful, Zethron said during a meal. The humans had prepared special food that Velnari could eat, showing respect for their biology. That is good. The galaxy can be dangerous for those who are not prepared. Dangerous how? Amy asked, leaning forward with interest. There are pirates, criminals who steal from ships and colonies. There are rogue machines, artificial intelligence that went wrong and now attacks living beings. And there are some species that do not believe in peace, that only understand strength and violence. Daniel nodded thoughtfully. So the Assembly protects its members from these threats? Yes, exactly. Together we are strong. Alone, a young species like yours would be vulnerable. The Assembly provides safety, trade, knowledge, and friendship. In return, we only ask that you contribute to the common good. Lisa smiled. That sounds fair. We would like to hear more about membership. What would be required of us? Zethron felt satisfied. They were interested, just as he expected. We will present you with the membership accord. It explains everything. You will have time to review it and discuss it with your leaders. We do not rush these decisions. After the Velnari left for the day, Lisa returned to the command center. The smile dropped from her face immediately. Admiral, they are going to present the accord tomorrow. Daniel got some information about it from their database during the cultural exchange. You need to see this. Kyle looked at the data on his screen. His jaw tightened as he read. So that is their game. They make it sound like a partnership, but it is really a surrender. What do we do? Nicole asked. We play along, Kyle said. We smile, we sign their papers, and we wait. When the time is right, we show them what humans are really capable of. We show them the Sentinel. Lisa nodded. She had been a military officer before becoming a diplomat. She understood what was at stake. How long do we maintain the act? As long as it takes for them to feel comfortable, to think they have won. Then we spring the trap. Kyle looked at the screen showing Earth below. Our people have worked too hard, sacrificed too much to hand our freedom over to aliens who smile while they put chains on us. In the Velnari ship, Zethron made his report to the Assembly Council. The humans are perfect candidates for membership. They are peaceful, technologically adequate, and eager to join. I recommend we proceed with the standard integration protocol. The council approved his recommendation. They did not know they were walking into a trap. They did not know that humans had been preparing for 6 years, building weapons in secret, waiting for exactly this moment. They saw only what humans wanted them to see, a species ready to be welcomed into the fold, weak enough to control, grateful enough to obey. But humans had learned long ago that the universe was not a safe place. They had learned that trust had to be earned, and that sometimes the friendliest face hid the darkest intentions. So they had prepared, they had built, they had planned. And now, as the Velnari congratulated themselves on finding another easy conquest, the humans were ready to show the galaxy what happened when you mistook kindness for weakness. The next morning, Zethron returned to Unity 1 with a large delegation. They carried the membership accord, a document that glowed with holographic text in multiple languages. Lisa sat across the table from the Velnari captain, with Daniel and Amy on either side of her. The conference room was quiet except for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. This is a great day for both our peoples, Zethron said, pushing the holographic document forward. The membership accord has been used for hundreds of years. It has brought peace and prosperity to every species that has signed it. Lisa read through the document carefully. Daniel helped her, pointing out different sections. Amy watched the Velnari, studying their body language and expressions. The document was long, full of legal terms and complex language, but the basic meaning was clear enough. So we would need to contribute military ships to the Assembly Defense Force, Daniel said, his voice neutral and calm. How many ships would be required? That depends on your total fleet size, Zethron explained. Typically, we ask for 30% of all military vessels to be available for assembly operations. This is only used during emergencies, of course. Most of the time, your ships would remain under your own command. Lisa nodded, making notes on her tablet. And the technology sharing provisions, how does that work? All member species agree to share scientific and technological advances with the Assembly Council. This benefits everyone. When one species makes a discovery, all species benefit from it. It promotes progress and cooperation. That makes sense, Amy said with a smile. We would learn so much from species more advanced than us. Exactly, Zethron said, pleased that they understood. And of course, the Assembly provides protection. Your ships would have access to our defensive networks, our early warning systems, and our mutual defense treaties. If anyone threatens Earth, they threaten all of us. It sounded good. It sounded fair. But Daniel noticed something in the fine print. This section here about resource allocation and economic integration. Can you explain that part? Zethron's expression did not change, but one of his assistants shifted uncomfortably. Ah, yes. That is simply about making sure member species contribute fairly to the common good. The Assembly Council can request resources during times of crisis, food, water, minerals, energy. It is rarely used, and always with fair compensation. But the Council decides what is fair compensation, Daniel said quietly. And the Council decides what counts as a crisis. There was a long pause. Zethron smiled, showing his teeth. You are very observant, Mr. Hayes. Yes, the Council has that authority. But I assure you, it is never abused. The Council members are selected from the most ethical and wise individuals in the galaxy. Lisa exchanged a quick glance with Daniel. They both understood what this meant. The Assembly could take whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. They just used nice words to hide it. But Lisa kept her face friendly and interested. We would need to present this to our government for approval. This is not a decision we can make alone. Of course, Zethron said. Take your time. Discuss it with your leaders. We will wait here in your system for your answer. After the Velnari left, Lisa went straight to the command center. Admiral Kyle was waiting for her, along with Nicole and several other senior officers. Lisa dropped her diplomatic mask immediately. They want everything, sir. Control of our military, access to all our technology, and the right to take our resources whenever they decide they need them. Kyle had been reading the membership accord on his own screen. And if we refuse? They did not say directly, but the implication was clear. The Assembly has ways of dealing with species that do not cooperate. Economic sanctions, trade blockades, isolation. And if that does not work, they have military force. Nicole pulled up a star map on the main screen. Sir, we have been monitoring their communications. They have called in reinforcements. More ships are arriving in our system every hour. Kyle watched the red dots appearing on the map. Ships from different species, all part of the Assembly, all taking up positions around Earth. How many now? 8 capital ships, plus dozens of smaller vessels. They say it is for the welcoming ceremony when we join the Assembly. But look at their formation. Kyle studied the positions. He had been a naval officer for 40 years. He recognized a blockade when he saw one. The alien ships were spread out in a pattern that would let them lock down all traffic to and from Earth. Nothing could get in or out without their permission. They are building a cage around us, he said quietly. They smile and talk about friendship while they make sure we cannot escape. One of the other officers, Commander Jack Hayes, spoke up. Sir, should we alert the other human colonies? Mars, the Jupiter stations, the mining operations? Not yet. If we panic, they will know we see through their act. We need to stay calm, stay in character, let them think we are naive and trusting. But Admiral, Jack protested, if they attack, they will not attack, Kyle interrupted. Not yet. They want us to join willingly, to sign their papers and hand over our freedom with a smile. That makes it easier for them, cleaner. They only use force if they have to. Lisa sat down heavily. So what do? We cannot sign this accord. It would make us slaves. But if we refuse, they have enough firepower out there to destroy every city on Earth. Kyle was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, a cold smile that did not reach his eyes. We sign it. We give them exactly what they want. We make them think they have won. Sir? Nicole looked confused. The Velnari think they know everything about us. They did their scans, saw our little exploration ships and our basic defenses. They think we are weak. They think we are ignorant. We are going to let them keep thinking that right up until the moment we are ready. Lisa understood. The Sentinel, Kyle confirmed. For 6 years we have been building that ship in secret. For 6 years we have let the galaxy see only what we wanted them to see. Now it is time to show them the truth. But first, we let them get comfortable. We let them think they have us trapped. Then, when they are feeling confident and secure, we show them what humans really are. He pressed a button on his console. A communication screen opened, showing a man in a military uniform. Captain Greg. Patterson sat in the command chair of a ship that the Velnari did not know existed. Behind him, the bridge of the Sentinel was dark, all systems running on minimal power to avoid detection. Greg, Kyle said. How is your crew? Ready, sir, Greg replied. We have been ready for months. Just give the word. Soon. Commander Morrison is going to sign the membership accord tomorrow. The Velnari will celebrate, thinking they have won. Their guard will be down. That is when you move. Bring the Sentinel out of hiding and show these aliens that humans do not surrender to anyone. Greg nodded, his expression hard. Understood, sir. The Sentinel will be ready. Kyle ended the communication and looked at his officers. Everyone needs to continue acting normal. Lisa, you and your team will sign the accord with smiles on your faces. Tell the Velnari how grateful we are, how excited humans are to join the assembly. Make it convincing. And then? Lisa asked. And then we show them the price of trying to conquer humanity. We show them the Sentinel, and we make it very clear that Earth is not a prize to be claimed. We are a force to be respected. That night, aboard the Velnari flagship, Zethron celebrated with his crew. The humans will sign tomorrow, he told them. Another species joins the assembly. Another world brings its resources and labor into our collective. The council will be pleased. His second officer raised a drink. To the newest members of the assembly, may they serve well. They all drank, laughing and talking about how easy it had been. None of them suspected the trap that was closing around them. None of them knew about the massive warship hiding behind Earth's moon, waiting in the darkness like a predator ready to strike. None of them understood that humans had been watching the stars for years, learning, planning, preparing for exactly this moment. The Velnari went to sleep that night thinking they had won. They would wake up to a very different reality. They would learn that humanity was not prey. They would learn that some species could not be conquered, could not be controlled, could not be caged. They would learn this lesson the hard way, and they would never forget it. The signing ceremony took place in the main conference hall of Unity 1. Hundreds of people attended, both human and alien. News cameras from Earth broadcast the event to billions of people watching from the surface. Lisa Morrison stood at the central podium, wearing her best uniform. The membership accord floated in holographic light before her. Zethron stood beside her, his three eyes bright with satisfaction. Behind him, representatives from other alien species watched with interest. They had all been through this before, had all watched other young species sign away their freedom, while thinking they were gaining something valuable. Today marks a new beginning for humanity, Lisa said, her voice clear and steady. We join the Galactic Assembly as friends and partners. We look forward to learning from species more advanced than ourselves, and to contributing what we can to the common good. She touched the holographic document and her signature appeared in glowing letters. The room erupted in applause. Zethron placed his own hand on the document, adding his mark. Around the room, aliens smiled and congratulated each other. Earth, people celebrated in the streets, throwing parties and festivals to mark humanity's entry into the galactic community. But in the command center deep inside Unity 1, there was no celebration. Admiral Kyle watched the ceremony on his screens with cold eyes. Nicole stood beside him, monitoring the alien fleet's positions. The blockade was complete now. 12 capital ships and over 50 smaller vessels surrounded Earth in a perfect cage. They are moving boarding parties toward the station, Nicole reported. They say it is for the military assessment we agreed to. But sir, these are not inspectors. These are combat troops. Kyle nodded. He had expected this. The Velnari wanted to make sure humans could not change their minds. Once their soldiers were on Unity 1 and other human stations, they would have hostages. They would have control. It was a smart strategy, but only if your opponent was actually as weak as you thought they were. Let them come, Kyle said. Let them think they have won. How long until the Sentinel is in position? Captain Patterson reports he can decloak and move to intercept in 10 minutes. Tell him to wait. I want all their troops aboard our stations first. I want them spread out, feeling safe. Then we surprise them. Lisa finished her speech and left the stage to more applause. She made her way through the crowd, shaking hands and accepting congratulations. Daniel and Amy stayed close to her, both maintaining their friendly expressions. But as soon as they entered a private corridor, all three dropped the act. I need a shower, Amy muttered. Smiling at them while they trap us made me feel sick. You did well, Lisa told her. We all did. Now comes the hard part. They entered the command center through a hidden entrance. Kyle was waiting for them. Good job. The Velnari are thrilled. They have already sent word to the Assembly Council that Earth is secured. Secured, Daniel repeated bitterly. Like we are cargo being loaded onto their ship. That is exactly what we are to them, Kyle said. They see us as resources, nothing more. Our people, our technology, our world, all just things to be exploited. But they are about to learn a very painful lesson. On the main screen, alien soldiers were docking with Unity 1 and other human stations. They came in groups of 20 or 30, wearing armor and carrying weapons. The Velnari claimed it was for everyone's protection, but the message was clear. These were occupation forces. A young officer named Lieutenant Steve Carter approached Kyle. Sir, the alien troops are requesting access to our military databases. They want a complete inventory of all human ships and weapons. Give them access to the public records, Kyle ordered. Show them our exploration vessels, our science ships, our small defense fleet. Let them see exactly what they expect to see. Steve hesitated. Sir, they are going to realize we have a ship missing from the inventory. The Sentinel is not listed anywhere in our records. That is the point, Lieutenant. They are going to scan our entire fleet and count every ship. When they are satisfied that we have no hidden weapons, no secret defenses, that is when we show them how wrong they are. Hours passed. The alien soldiers spread through the human stations, conducting their assessments. They were polite but thorough, checking every room, every system, every computer. On Earth, more alien ships landed at spaceports and military bases, always with the excuse of friendship and cooperation. But everyone could see the weapons they carried, could feel the threat beneath their smiles. Deep in a secure facility on Earth, President Amanda Hayes watched the situation develop. She was an older woman with sharp intelligence and decades of political experience. She had been one of the few people who knew about the Sentinel project from the beginning. She had fought to keep it secret, had protected it from budget cuts and political opposition. Now, as she watched alien soldiers walking through her planet's defenses, she wondered if the gamble had been worth it. If Kyle's plan failed, if the Sentinel was not enough, humanity would be conquered. There would be no second chances, no way to fight back. Everything depended on the next few hours. Her assistant, a young man named Pete Johnson, entered the office. Madam President, the Assembly has sent a list of demands. They call them requests, but we both know what they really are. Tell me, Amanda said, though she already knew what was coming. They want access to our mining operations on Mars. They want technical specifications for our fusion reactors. They want a complete census of Earth's population, broken down by skills and education. And they want 30 ships from our fleet to report to the Assembly Military Command within 1 week. They are not wasting any time, Amanda said quietly. They want to strip us bare before we realize what is happening. What should I tell them? Tell them we are reviewing their requests. Tell them we need time to organize and prepare. Buy us a few more hours. Pete nodded and left. Amanda stood and walked to her window, looking out at the city below. People were still celebrating in the streets, dancing and singing, happy that humanity had joined the galactic community. They had no idea they were celebrating their own enslavement. Her phone rang. It was Kyle. Madam President, we are ready. The Sentinel is in position. With your authorization, we can proceed. Amanda took a deep breath. This was the moment. Once they revealed the Sentinel, there was no going back. The galaxy would know that humanity had been lying, had been preparing for war while pretending to want peace. Some would call it treachery. Kyle called it survival. Do it, she said. Show them what happens when they try to cage humanity. Kyle ended the call and turned to his crew. All stations, this is Admiral Bennett. Activate Operation Broken Chain. Repeat, activate Operation Broken Chain. Across the human fleet, captains received the coded message. Ships that had seemed dormant suddenly came alive. Weapons that had been hidden activated. Defense platforms that had appeared to be simple satellites revealed missile batteries and railguns. In a matter of seconds, humanity went from appearing helpless to showing very sharp teeth. But the biggest surprise was still to come. Behind Earth's moon, in the darkness of space where no one had been watching, the Sentinel powered up its main systems. For 3 years, the massive warship had waited in silence. For 3 years, its crew had trained and prepared. Now, Captain Greg Patterson sat in his command chair and gave the order that would change everything. "Disengage cloak," he said calmly. "Let them see us." The cloaking field that had hidden the Sentinel collapsed. Energy readings that had been invisible suddenly blazed across every sensor in the solar system. Where there had been empty space, there now appeared a ship larger than any vessel in the alien fleet. Its hull was covered in armor plating that could withstand almost any weapon. Its weapons batteries could destroy a city from orbit. Its reactor generated more power than most space stations. The Sentinel announced its presence like thunder after lightning, impossible to miss, impossible to ignore. And every alien in the solar system suddenly realized that they had made a terrible, terrible mistake. Alarms screamed on every alien ship in the solar system. Sensor officers stared at their screens in disbelief, checking and rechecking their readings. It was impossible, and yet it was there. A human battleship that should not exist, could not exist, appearing from nowhere like a ghost becoming solid. On the Velnari flagship, Zethron gripped his command chair as the bridge descended into chaos. "Report, what is that thing?" His sensor officer's hands shook as he worked his console. "Captain, I am reading a ship 2 kilometers long. Its energy output is massive, more than our entire fleet combined. Weapon systems are active. Shields are at maximum power. It is positioning itself between us and Earth." "How did we not detect it before?" Zethron demanded. "We scanned this entire system. There was nothing there." "It must have been cloaked, sir. But this level of cloaking technology, it is far beyond what humans should possess. Even the most advanced assembly species do not have stealth systems this effective." Another officer called out, "Captain, the human defense platforms are activating weapons. Their fleet is moving into combat formation. They knew about this. They planned this." Zethron felt his blood run cold. They had been deceived completely and totally. While the humans smiled and signed treaties, while they showed their peaceful culture and expressed gratitude, they had been hiding a warship that could destroy his entire fleet. The military assessment had been a lie. The diplomatic tour had been a lie. Everything had been carefully designed to make the assembly underestimate Earth. Incoming transmission from the human battleship, the communications officer announced, "Put it on screen." A human male appeared, wearing a military uniform with captain's insignia. His face was hard, his eyes cold and focused. This was not the friendly expression of Commander Morrison or her diplomatic team. This was the face of a warrior. "I am Captain Greg Patterson of the Terran Federation ship Sentinel," the human said. His voice was calm but carried an unmistakable edge of threat. "You are in violation of Terran sovereign space. Power down your weapons immediately and withdraw to a safe distance beyond the orbit of Mars." Zethron tried to control his anger. "This is an outrage. We came here on a peaceful diplomatic mission. We welcomed you into the Galactic Assembly. You signed the membership accord." "We signed a document under false pretenses," Greg replied. "You positioned a blockade fleet around our homeworld. You sent armed troops to occupy our stations. You prepared to conduct what you called an assessment, which was really an inventory of our defenses before you started making demands. We know exactly what the assembly is, Captain Zethron. We have known for 6 years. 6 years. Zethron repeated, confused. 6 years ago, we found one of your colony ships, or what was left of it. The species aboard had refused to join the assembly, so you destroyed them. We recovered their data, learned about your methods. That is when we started building the Sentinel. That is when we decided that if the assembly ever came to Earth, we would be ready." Greg leaned forward in his chair. "You came here expecting to find a naive species, easy to control and exploit. You found humans instead. We do not submit to anyone. We do not hand over our freedom for false promises of protection, and we do not take kindly to armed forces occupying our territory." On Unity 1, Lisa watched the confrontation on the command center screens. Nicole was coordinating with the Sentinel, making sure all human forces were ready for whatever came next. Admiral Kyle stood with his arms crossed, satisfaction evident in his expression. "The Velnari are sending urgent messages to their fleet," Nicole reported. They are trying to decide whether to fight or retreat. They will retreat, Kyle said with certainty. They came here to bully a weak species. Now they face a real military force. Bullies always back down when someone stands up to them, but Zethron was not ready to give up so easily. That ship of yours may be impressive, Captain Patterson, but you are one vessel. We have 12 capital ships and dozens of support craft. You cannot win against those odds. You are probably right, Greg admitted. In a straight fight, you would likely destroy the Sentinel eventually. But not before we took most of your fleet with us. How many ships are you willing to lose, Captain? How many of your crew are you willing to sacrifice? And for what? To conquer a species that will fight you every step of the way? He paused, letting the words sink in. We are not asking for war. We are demanding respect. Withdraw your forces. Return to the Assembly Council and tell them that Earth is not available for conquest. We will negotiate trade agreements, cultural exchanges, even mutual defense pacts. But we do it as equals, or we do not do it at all. Zethron looked around his bridge. His officers were frightened, and he could not blame them. The human battleship had positioned itself perfectly. It could fire on any of their ships while maintaining a clear escape route back toward Earth's defensive platforms. It was a tactical masterstroke. You have lied to us, Zethron said, trying one last approach. You deceived the Assembly. That makes you untrustworthy. Why should we negotiate with species that would trick us like this? Greg's expression did not change. You came to our system with overwhelming force. You pretended it was for a celebration while actually building a cage around our planet. You presented a treaty that would have given you complete control over our military, our economy, and our resources. You call our deception untrustworthy, but what do you call your own actions? There was silence on the Vilnari bridge. Zethron had no answer for that. The truth was the Assembly had done exactly what the human captain described. They always did. It was standard procedure, refined over centuries of expanding their influence. Find a young species, overwhelm them with the appearance of strength, offer protection that was really submission, and take control before they realized what was happening. But humanity had seen through it. Somehow they had learned the truth and prepared accordingly. And now the Assembly had to decide whether to fight a war they might win, but would definitely suffer heavy losses in, or retreat and admit they had been outplayed. Aboard the Sentinel, Greg waited for a response. His executive officer, Commander Rachel Morrison, stood beside his chair. She was Lisa's younger sister, and she had been serving on the Sentinel since its construction began. For 18 months she had lived in secret, unable to tell even her own family where she was or what she was doing. Think they will attack? Rachel asked quietly. No, Greg said. They are bullies, not warriors. Warriors fight for something they believe in. Bullies just want easy victories. We took away easy, so they will look for another target. Lieutenant Chris Dalton, who managed the ship's defensive systems, called out from his station. Captain, 2 of the alien ships are powering up weapons. The Corthan vessels, the ones at positions 4 and 7. Lock targeting solutions on both ships, Greg ordered calmly. If they fire, destroy them immediately. Send a message to their captains. Tell them that any aggressive action will be met with overwhelming force. The message was sent. On the Corthan ships, captains who had been considering an attack suddenly reconsidered. The human battleship's weapons were already aimed at them, already charged and ready to fire. They would be dead before they could land a single hit. It was not worth it. Zethron made his decision. This is not over, Captain Patterson. The Assembly Council will hear about this. There will be consequences for your deception. I am sure there will be, Greg agreed. But those consequences will not include the conquest of Earth. Now, are you going to withdraw peacefully, or do we need to help you leave? The Vilnari captain's pride was wounded, but he was not stupid. We will withdraw, but you have made powerful enemies today. We made powerful enemies 6 years ago when we learned what the Assembly really does to species that join it. Today, we just made sure those enemies understand that humanity cannot be conquered. Withdrawal should begin immediately, Captain. Every minute you delay makes us more nervous, and nervous people with large weapons tend to make mistakes. It was a clear threat, delivered with perfect calm. Zethron gave the order, and one by one the alien ships began moving away from Earth. They did not go far at first, only to the edge of the Mars orbit, maintaining the minimum distance Greg had demanded. But it was enough. The cage was broken. Earth was free. In the command center, Kyle allowed himself a small smile. Send a message to all human settlements. Tell them that first contact did not go as planned, but humanity remains independent and free. Lisa nodded. And the Sentinel? Stays right where it is, visible and ready. Let the galaxy see what we built. Let them understand that Earth is protected. Kyle looked at the screens showing the retreating alien fleet. They came here to make us kneel. Instead, they learned to respect us. That is a good day's work. The Velnari fleet stayed at the edge of the solar system for 3 days. They did not leave completely, but they did not come closer either. It was a standoff, both sides watching each other, waiting to see what would happen next. The Sentinel remained between Earth and the alien ships, a silent guardian that never powered down its weapons or shields. On Earth, the celebrations had stopped. People were confused and frightened. They had been told that joining the Galactic Assembly was a great achievement, and now they were being told it had all been a trick. News broadcasts showed the Sentinel for the first time, and people could not believe that such a huge ship had been built in secret. President Amanda Hayes knew she had to explain. She appeared on every screen across Earth, her expression serious but calm. My fellow humans, I know you have many questions. Let me answer them as honestly as I can. She took a breath before continuing. 6 years ago, our deep space explorers found the wreckage of an alien colony ship. The species aboard had been destroyed by what we now know as the Galactic Assembly. We recovered their records and learned the truth about how the Assembly operates. They do not invite new species to join as equals. They conquer them with smiles and treaties. The cameras showed images of the destroyed ship, of the data that had been recovered. When we learned this, we had a choice. We could hope that contact with aliens would never happen, or we could prepare for the day when it did. We chose to prepare. We built the Sentinel in secret, along with other defensive systems. We trained our military for scenarios we hoped would never come, and we kept it all hidden because we knew that if the Assembly learned what we were doing, they would attack before we were ready. Amanda paused, letting people absorb the information. The Velnari came here expecting to find us weak and ignorant. We let them think that while our real strength stayed hidden. Some of you will be angry that we deceived the aliens. Some of you will be angry that we kept secrets from our own people. But I ask you to consider the alternative. If we had not been prepared, if we had trusted the Assembly, Earth would now be under their control. Our military would belong to them. Our resources would belong to them. Our freedom would be gone. She looked directly into the camera. We showed the galaxy that humanity cannot be conquered. We showed them that we will defend our home and our freedom, no matter the cost. First contact was not what we hoped it would be, but we survived it and we remain free. That is what matters. The speech helped, but many people were still uncertain. They had grown up dreaming of meeting friendly aliens, of joining a galactic civilization. Learning that the universe was more dangerous than they thought was a hard lesson. In the command center of Unity 1, Lisa and her team monitored the situation constantly. The Velnari had sent several more messages, each one demanding explanations and threatening consequences. Lisa ignored most of them. She was waiting for the real message, the one from the Assembly Council itself. It came on the 4th day. A holographic communication appeared, showing an alien Lisa had never seen before. It had blue skin and forearms, and its eyes glowed with a soft purple light. I am Counselor Vren of the Galactic Assembly. I speak for the Council in this matter. Lisa stood straight, maintaining her diplomatic posture. I am Commander Lisa Morrison of Earth. I speak for humanity. You have caused quite a disturbance, Commander. The Assembly does not take deception lightly, and humanity does not take attempted conquest lightly, Lisa replied. You sent a fleet to blockade our world. You presented a treaty that would have given you control over our entire civilization. Do not pretend you are the victims here. Vren was quiet for a moment. The membership accord has been signed by hundreds of species over thousands of years. It brings peace and stability to the galaxy. It brings submission, Lisa corrected. You take young species and force them into a system where they have no real power or freedom. You call it membership, but it is really slavery with better marketing. Strong words, Commander. Do you speak for all of humanity or just yourself? I speak for every human who values freedom over false security. We will not join the Assembly under the current terms, but we are willing to negotiate new terms, ones that respect our independence and sovereignty. Vren's expression was hard to read, but Lisa thought she detected something like respect in its eyes. The Council is willing to listen to your proposals. But understand this, humanity has revealed itself to be deceptive and dangerous. Many species will not trust you now. Good, Lisa said firmly. We do not want anyone's trust if it comes with chains attached. We want respect. We want to be treated as equals. If the galaxy cannot accept that, then we will remain isolated until they can. The negotiation process took weeks. Representatives from the Assembly Council came to Unity 1, but they came without military escorts. They came as actual diplomats this time, not conquerors. Lisa, Daniel, and Amy sat across from them day after day, working through the details of a new kind of relationship. The humans insisted on several key points. Earth would maintain complete control over its military forces. No assembly ships would enter the solar system without permission. Technology sharing would be voluntary, not mandatory. Resources would be traded fairly, not requisitioned. And most importantly, humanity would have a voice in assembly decisions, not just be expected to obey them. The aliens resisted at first, but they had no choice. The Sentinel had changed the balance of power. Humanity was not a helpless species anymore. They were a military force that demanded respect. And slowly, grudgingly, the assembly adapted. Captain Greg Patterson kept the Sentinel on high alert throughout the negotiations. He did not trust the aliens, and he made sure they knew it. Every day, the massive battleship ran weapons drills, shield tests, and combat simulations. The message was clear. Humanity was ready for war if necessary. Rachel stood beside him on the bridge one day, watching the alien ships in the distance. "Do you think they will honor whatever agreement we reach?" "For now," Greg said. "As long as we remain strong enough to defend ourselves. The moment we show weakness, they will try again. That is why the Sentinel cannot be the only ship of its class." "I heard Admiral Bennett has authorized construction of 3 more, Rachel said. 3 more that they know about. Greg corrected with a slight smile. "We learned our lesson. Always keep some secrets. Always have a hidden advantage." On Earth, construction projects were accelerated. Shipyards expanded. Military recruitment increased. Humanity had been shaken out of its peaceful dreams and forced to face reality. The galaxy was not a safe place. Species survived by being strong enough to defend themselves and smart enough to see threats before they arrived. But there was also opportunity. As news of humanity's resistance spread through the galaxy, other species began to take notice. Some were members of the assembly who had been forced to join, who resented their loss of freedom. They sent quiet messages to Earth asking questions about the Sentinel, about how humans had prepared so well. They wanted to know if resistance was possible. Admiral Kyle read these messages with interest. "We could build alliances with species who feel trapped in the assembly, create a counterbalance to their power." Nicole nodded. "It would be dangerous. The assembly would see it as a threat. They already see us as a threat," Kyle pointed out. "We might as well make the most of it. Besides, helping other species gain their freedom is the right thing to do." The final agreement between Earth and the Galactic Assembly was signed 3 months after the Sentinel's reveal. It was nothing like the original membership accord. This treaty recognized humanity as an independent and sovereign civilization. It established trade relationships and cultural exchange programs, but without the control mechanisms the Assembly usually imposed. It created a mutual defense agreement, but only for situations where both sides agreed action was necessary. Most importantly, it included a clause that stated any attempt to coerce or threaten humanity would void the entire agreement and be considered an act of war. The Assembly had tried to conquer Earth once. They would not get a second chance. Lisa Morrison stood at the same podium where she had signed the false membership accord months earlier. This time, the document she signed actually protected humanity instead of enslaving it. This time the ceremony was honest. Zethron was not present. He had been recalled to the Assembly homeworld to explain how he had failed to detect a battleship hiding in the Sol system. Other Velnari representatives were there instead, along with delegates from many other species. Some looked at the humans with respect, others with fear, all of them with caution. After the signing, Lisa returned to the command center one last time before transferring back to Earth. Kyle was there, preparing to retire after 40 years of service. He had accomplished what he set out to do, had kept Earth free when others would have surrendered. "You did well, Commander," he told her. "Better than I expected." "We all did," Lisa replied. "Every person who worked on the Sentinel, every diplomat who maintained the deception, every scientist and engineer and soldier who prepared for this day. We all played our part. Kyle looked at the main screen showing the Sentinel on patrol. That ship saved us. But more than that, it proved something important. It proved that humans can think ahead.